Good evening, students. I hope all of you are doing well, and I'm very sure that you are ready for your board exams. Now, today I'm going to upload this video on the last minute revision for English language and literature, class 10. So, as you know that the question paper is divided into 3 sections. Section A, reading; Section B, writing skill and grammar; and Section C, that is on literature. Alright, so in the first section, as you all know, that there will be 2 passages given to you. Alright, one will be a discursive one and the other one the factual passage, and most of the questions will be MCQs, that is multiple choice questions. And a very important feedback for this particular section is that in section A there will be 10 questions and you have to attempt all the questions, alright, because it carries 10 marks. So there are no extra questions given over there. Whenever you are solving section A, both the passages, you have to be very particular and very sure about the answers before you select whichever options A, B, C and D. Now, today I'm not going to discuss about section A or section B, because today's video I thought of discussing only on section B, that is section C, that is literature section. So it will be a quick revision of all the lessons that you have in your literature section. For section A and B, definitely I'll be uploading my next videos, and so please do keep a watch on my channel. Okay, and if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe for the latest updates or notifications on my next videos. Alright, so without wasting much more time, let's get started. And all of you, please be ready with a notepad and a pen, alright, because I hope that the points will be definitely important and helping you to have a quick revision of all the lessons. Along with that, I will be sharing few questions, some extra questions which you can definitely solve in your free time. And so let's start with the first book, First Flight. You have 2 textbooks, as you know, the First Flight and Footprints Without Feet. And there are poems as well as proses from both the books which you have to be ready with. For literature section, my suggestion will be there, please do not do any kind of selective study, that okay, I will read this chapter, I will skip that chapter, or I will be not be prepared with this particular poem and this one is easy. So don't go for any selective study. My suggestion will be to be thorough with all the lessons. Today is 30th of January and it's not yet, not been 1 month remaining for your English paper. So please do lots of revision of all the lessons, because any kind of questions can be asked from any particular chapter. The most important thing is there are 3 types of questions: reference to the context, short question answers and long question answers. Reference to the context will be 1 marker questions where you can get true and false, you can get MCQs, you can get fill in the blanks. So any kind of questions can be asked, alright. And the references can be taken from any lessons whichever is there in your syllabus. And talking about short question answers and long question answers, short question answers again there will be choices, but yes, you have, the most important trick over here is you have to write the answers within a particular word limit. So you should not cross that word limit. That is what expression is all about, that how the child is writing the answers or expressing herself or himself within few words, and still the content is there in the answer. So please do not extend too many words and make the answer from 40 to 50 words to 100 words. Then you will be also lagging behind, because time is also important, time management. So write your literature answers very neatly and very clearly, and within a particular time period you should finish it off, because this is the only known section for you. Other two sections are actually unknown, where you have to create your answers on spot in the examination hall. Alright, so today the video is on literature, basically all the lessons which are there in class 10 English language and literature, code 184. Okay, so the first lesson that you have is chapter 1, a letter to God. The first thing that you should always prepare your notes is you write the chapter's name, then the writer's or the poet's name, then few pointers or the main points of the story, like a flow chart, and and the character's name, so that it becomes easy for you to have a quick revision before the exams as well. All right. So let's begin. Chapter 1, that is A Letter to God by G.L. Funes. What is it talking about? It is actually talking about the farmer Lencho and how he's waiting eagerly for the rain, and then a hailstorm comes and all gets devastated, all his dreams are shattered, and he was left with only one option to that was God, and he wrote a letter to God, and how the story moves ahead with few more characters entering, and it actually shows his faith on God or towards God. So let's see what is it all about. Lencho was a farmer. First point, you can also note it down. I'm going slowly. Lencho was a farmer. His house was the only house in the valley and on top of a hill. Lencho's fields needed rain for a good harvest. Next, he looked expectantly at the sky, and it did rain at last. The drops of rain were like the coins for him. This is a very important question. Most of the time it is asked. So it looked like the coins for him, which would help him to reap a good harvest and earn some money for his family. But his happiness was short-lived, and as very large hailstones began to, pour down, and it was covering the whole area or all the fields over there, and it destroyed his crop. There was a single hope, that was help from God, and on the following Sunday, he thought to write a letter to God. He needed 100 pesos to sow his fields again and to live until the new crops came. Okay, so he wrote to God on the envelope. He wrote to God, T in capital, G in capital, on the envelope, and put the letter into the mailbox. The postman laughed heartily and took it to the postmaster. The postmaster laughed too, but soon he became serious. He decided to reply to the letter and help Lencho, as he did not want Lencho to lose faith on God. Postmaster could collect 70 pesos only, and from that also from his employees. Okay, and he himself also contributed a part of his salary. Then what he did, he put the money in the envelope and posted it to Lencho. Lencho was very happy, but not at all surprised when he received the money, because he had an unbroken faith in God. He was very sure that yes, his letter had definitely reached God, and God had given him this reply as well as the money. So he was very happy, but not surprised. His happiness turned into anger there, where only 70 pesos were there instead of 100 pesos. So soon he became angry that how is it possible? Lencho could never believe that God could ever deceive him. So what he did, he wrote another letter to God, reminiscing him, and he also wrote that he had only received 70 pesos sent by him. He asked God not to send the rest of the 30 pesos through the mail, because he felt that the post office employees were, and there's a specific term written there, he felt that they were a bunch of crooks. So he wrote that in the letter. So this is a core summary of the chapter, A Letter to God, and there are 5 questions. The questions, again, I will be typing it in the description box. Okay, you can just take the questions from there. Now I'm just quickly reading it. If you want, you can write it, or later on you can just take it from the description box, where I'm going to type the questions once again. So first question, whom did Lencho write a letter? What did he ask for and why? Second question, what were Lencho's feelings when he found a letter with money in it? What did he do after opening it? Third question, why does the postmaster send money to Lencho? Why does he sign the letter God? Fourth question, what are the raindrops compared to and why? Fifth question, who does Lencho think he has taken the rest of the money? Describe the ironical ending of the story. So these questions are actually mixed questions with long and short as well. You can just practice writing the answers. Moving on to the next chapter, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. Most of the time students have lots of doubts on this particular chapter. So this is written, as you know, this is an autobiography written by Nelson Mandela himself. So let's see what are the pointers. First point is the inauguration ceremony of the first non-racial government, which was held in the Union Buildings in Pretoria. So there are lots of details given in this chapter which can be coming in the MCQs in your reference to the context. So it was held in Pretoria. Second, politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries attended the ceremony. Third, Nelson Mandela was then sworn in as the President of Republic of South Africa. Fourth, for decades, South Africa was a common victory for justice and peace and freedom. Okay. Next, Nelson Mandela was overwhelmed with a sense of history. He was actually recollecting all the memories and in history whatever has happened in South Africa and what all he had faced. So he is talking about that part. Next, for decades, as because there was white supremacy and the blacks were considered as outlaws, so there was a lot of suffering which they have gone through. So that also Nelson Mandela tries to, remember his people. And then after that, next point is he was very happy, obviously, that he has the victory was actually over apartheid, which was a common victory for justice, peace and freedom. So basically the chapter is talking about the theme. If we talk about it, talks about apartheid. All right. Next, Nelson Mandela learned the meaning of courage, which does not mean absence of fear, rather it means victory over fear. So this question is important for short question answers. Okay, so what is fear according to Nelson Mandela? It is not that absence of fear, but according to him, it is actually victory over fear. That's what courage is defined as by him. Okay, then the decades of oppression and exploitation of the blacks, which was produced, and that time actually produced heroes like Tambos, then Sisulu and others in South Africa. The names of the leaders are given there. You please try to write the names once, and it can come for short question answer, it can come for MCQs as well. Next, every man, Nelson Mandela says that every man, they have twin responsibilities or obligations, we can say. One is towards his family, which is very, very important, and second one is for his people and country. So this part is at the end of the chapter. Then he says, if any black tried to live like a free human being, he was punished and isolated from his family and community. That was what the status of the blacks were, okay, before they were independent. So they were just they were isolated from their family, from their community. So this whole journey has been described in the chapter. Mandela realized that not only he but his brothers and sisters were all deprived of freedom. Alright, so they all were deprived of freedom. So that also he realizes. And the last one, his desire for the freedom and dignity of his people made him a rebel. And he realized that freedom is actually indivisible. Okay, freedom is actually indivisible. Now from this lesson, I'll tell you 5 questions which you can write, practice, okay, without seeing the textbook. Number 1, what did Nelson Mandela pledge when he was sworn in as the president? Second, what is the greatest wealth of a country according to Nelson Mandela? Third, what are the 2 obligations every man has in life. Fourth, what according to Mandela is true freedom. Fifth, why did Nelson Mandela feel that both the oppressor and the oppressed are robbed of their humanity and hence both of them must be liberated? Whatever questions I'm telling you, all these questions I'm going to type it in the chat box, from where you can definitely take it once again and write the answers, or you can write it now also as I'm dictating. Next, let's move to next chapter, 2 stories about flying. Now in this story, or in this chapter, there are 2 parts, as you know. The first part is his first flight and the second part is the black aeroplane. The first flight, or his first flight, who is he here referred to? You must be knowing the answer, that he was that young seagull, right? How he took the first flight and how he was afraid before that, what was going on in his mind at that time, why he could not have that courage to take the first step and follow his brothers, sisters or parents. So the first part is description of that. So let's see the first point. The author Lai Moflaherty displays the importance of family and friends in overcoming the fears in our life. So children, every chapter there is a theme, the poet or the writer, then the theme, then the characters. These are the main important points which you must remember. If you forget these things, then it becomes very difficult to write the answer, because then you have to recollect that, okay, this what happens exactly in that chapter, or how the story moves on. So if you do not remember the story, it will be very difficult to write the answers for literature section. Alright, so the theme is about family and friends who helps us in overcoming the fears in our life through the story of a young seagull who was unable to take his first flight. Second point, a family of seagulls had mother, father, 3 sons and a daughter. The youngest son was obviously that seagull. The youngest son was fearful to take his first flight as he believed his small wings, he believed he is having small wings and it would not support him. Also, he was afraid of the height of the cliff from the sea. So these 2 things were there in his mind, due to which he could not take the first flight. The parents cajoled him and kept him hungry to let him learn a lesson so that he can take the first flight by himself, overcoming all the fear and all. When the young seagull couldn't take the hunger and heat anymore, the mother seagull brought a piece of fish near him. And the young seagull, he tried to grab the piece from his mother's mouth, and in doing so, he reached the edge of the cliff and fell from there as the mother seagull moved away from the edge. And initially, fear, actually in the beginning of the chapter, or initially, fear hovered him, but soon he flapped his wings and soared and finally landed on the green sea, taking his first flight. The whole family rejoiced and they cackled around him. Alright, so this is all about a short story. Basically, the theme is very, very important. From here, 2 questions I have taken. That is, first question, why did the baby seagull or young seagull not take his first flight? And second question, describe how the young seagull took his first flight. Alright. Second part, the black aeroplane. Now here the narrator Frederick Forsyth was flying his Dakota from France to England to meet his family in holidays and enjoy a good English breakfast with his family. When he flew at night, the sky was clear, and as instructed by Paris control room, he turned 12 degrees west. When he was about 150 kilometers away from Paris, these kilometers are also important, okay, for your MCQs. So when he was 150 kilometers away from Paris, suddenly he saw the approaching storm. He took the risk and flew into the storm. Into the storm. The compass and the other instruments stopped working. The plane tossed and twisted in the air, and he could not contact Paris control room. Suddenly, a black aeroplane appeared without lights on its wings. The pilot waved him and signaled to follow him. Which pilot? The pilot who was sitting in the black aeroplane. He waved him and he signaled to follow him. It was strange that he flew for half an hour, even when he had fuel left only for 5 to 10 minutes. And then suddenly he saw the runway and landed safely. He wanted to thank the pilot of that black aeroplane, but was shocked to see no one there. So what he did, he went to the control room to inquire about him, but found that no other aeroplane except his was there in the sky that night. And he was really awestruck at this miracle. So this is all about the story, okay. Lots of surprises, lots of mystery, many questions can be asked also in a different way. You should be ready to write the answers. Here again 2 questions I have picked up. One, why did the narrator take the risk to go through the storm? And second, what miracle happened with the narrator? Okay. Next chapter, from the diary of Anne Frank. This is again an autobiography. Alright. So here Anne Frank was a 13-year-old Jewish girl who wrote a diary while her family was hiding in Amsterdam from the Nazis, who were incurring atrocities during World War II. Second, Anne wrote the diary to overcome loneliness in her life, and she named the diary as Kitty. Kitty, Kitty. She could not confide in anyone and felt that paper has more patience. This question is very important, that why she felt paper has more patience and all. Also, she thought nobody would be interested in the diary as she was a small girl. Anne adored her father. She had an elder sister, Margot, and they lived in Frankfurt before they migrated to Holland for refuge. Her mother stayed behind with her grandmother. She had sweet memories of Mrs. Cuperus. Now, who was Mrs. Cuperus? Mrs. Cuperus was a teacher at Montessori school. So she had lots of memories of Mrs. Cuperus. Her grandmother fell ill in 1941 and she died in 1942. This incident really affected Anne in a very bad way, and she was broken. Then Anne considered teachers to be, in next part we see that Anne is discussing about teachers and she is telling that she felt teachers to be the most unpredictable creatures on earth. Okay, and she had a very good relationship with all the teachers except one teacher whose name was Mr. Keesing, who punished her several times for talking too much during the lessons. So only this teacher, in this class, she used to talk a lot, and the teacher was really annoyed on her. So she was given punishment every time by Mr. Keesing. Now, she wrote an essay. She was asked to write an essay, and she wrote an essay on a chatterbox as a punishment, saying that talking was students' trait and that she inherited it from her mother. Again, as punishment, she wrote another essay and titled it as An Incorrigible Chatterbox. Then she wrote a third essay as on Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. This question can be, as I said, can be a part of short question answer. It can be given as MCQs as well. So what was the first essay she wrote? A chatterbox. Second one, she wrote an incorrigible chatterbox. Please be careful with the spelling. And third one was Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. And when she wrote the third one, she was helped by her friend San to write it in verse or in a poetic style. It said that Father Duck beat the 3 ducklings as they quacked too much. Okay. Too much, and then made them dead. Okay. Mr. Keesing took the joke in the right way and didn't bother Anne for talking thereafter, and didn't give her any extra homework after this incident. So till here it is mentioned in the chapter, and from here 2 questions I have selected. One, why did Anne think of writing a diary? And second, what joke did Anne play with the help of her friend on Mr. Keesing? Okay, next chapter, the 100 dresses. Here also we have 2 parts. Okay, part 1 and part 2. Part 1, it is talking about Else or Esther, and part 2 also written by Else or Esther. But here we will see that it's a story of 3 girls or 3 schoolmates. So who are the girls? Their names should be very much sure. You must be writing it and pretty sure that don't get confused between the characters. Okay, so we can see here 3 characters, that is Wanda, Peggy and Maddie. Right? Now, Wanda was a quiet girl. She's the protagonist of the story. She did not talk too much with others. Okay. And she lived at Boggins Heights and belonged to a poor family. She wore the same blue dress every day. Peggy and Maddie were good friends and teased Wanda every day, asking her how many dresses she had. There was a drawing competition for every boy and girl in the class, and everybody expected Peggy to win. There were 100 sketches of dresses beautifully drawn by Wanda in the classroom. Now, who announced it? Their teacher, Miss Mason. Miss Mason announced the winner. Jack Beggles won among the boys, and Wanda was from the girls, or among the girls. Wanda was absent that day, but everybody clapped for her. Okay, they were very happy. They were really impressed with the type of sketches that Wanda had made or drawn. Peggy and Maddie identified the blue and the green dress once spoken by Wanda, and everybody in the class clapped for Wanda's great quality of drawing or artistic style. So this is all about the first part. And 2 questions. Why did Peggy and Maddie make fun of Wanda? And second, the story is about teasing. It also criticizes ragging and somewhere racism indirectly. So a value-based question can be asked like how does it affect you, or what are your opinions on these 2 themes? Okay, how do you look into the chapter on these 2 topics especially? All right. So any kind of questions can be framed from this chapter. All right. Next, the second part of the same chapter, the 100 dresses. Here, Miss Mason gave the shocking news that Wanda and her family had decided to settle in a big city to avoid humiliation. All right. And Mary was very upset and felt herself coward as she never stopped Peggy from making fun of Wanda. So Maddie went through a lot of emotional stress, I will not say, but yes, emotional turmoil was there in her mind, that whatever they did, it was wrong. And whenever they used to tease Wanda, she had never stopped her friend to do that. She was always maybe did not support, but she was always there with this fun making activity, on Wanda. So she really felt very, very bad, and she was very upset that day. Every student felt sorry for Wanda, definitely. Maddie and Peggy then they decided to find Wanda, and they went to her house at Boggins Heights, but they could not meet her as she had already left the place with her family. Peggy tried to defend her behavior, but Maddie was not happy for all of that. Okay, Peggy and Maddie, then they wrote a letter to Wanda telling her she had won the contest and all. So they wrote a letter to Wanda on that. Alright. After a very long time, Wanda also wrote a letter to Miss Mason telling her that she missed her old school and her teacher and wanted to gift special drawing to Peggy and Maddie. And what was a special drawing? That was a green dress and a blue one respectively. So one was a green dress, another one was a blue one. Both Peggy and Maddie found their faces in the green and blue dresses respectively later on. And they really felt very sorry for their behavior and promised herself not to be a silent spectator anymore, ever, if she has to lose her close friend. So Maddie was very, very unhappy, upset, and sorry for her behavior. And she decided that next time onwards, if any such incident happens with any other student of the school, she is definitely going to raise her voice and stop her friend from doing that. Okay? And Peggy consoled her by saying that Wanda really liked them, and that is why she has, drawn these pictures, or she had definitely forgiven them. That's why she has made these pictures with their faces on it. And that's all about the chapter. 2 questions from here. What impression do you form of Wanda on the basis of the lesson, the 100 dresses? Okay, and how did Maddie feel after listening to the note from Wanda's father? And what did she want to do at that moment? Alright. Okay. Next chapter that we have, Glimpses of India. Here we have 3 parts, as you know. 3 parts are there. So first part, A Baker from Goa by Lucio Rodriguez. So these are basically, it's not a story, but there are lots of information. So information-based chapter, and you very minutely in detail, you have to read the whole chapter. with any kind of short questions and MCQs can be coming from these lessons. The Portuguese in Goa were lovers of bread. Those eaters of bread have now gone, but its makers still exist. During the childhood days of the narrator, a baker used to be their friend, companion, and guide. The baker came twice a day, once in the morning and again while returning home after finishing his selling. The jingling thud of the baker's bamboo woke up the sleeping children. The loaves were delivered to the servants of the house. The children would peep into the baker's basket for the bread bangles. The children would eat bread with hot tea. And there are few ironical statements and few statements which are funny, like it is like white tigers will brush their teeth, and also lots of statements are given there which are really interesting. Okay, and next, the marriages were incomplete without the popular bowl bread. So there are different names of bread mentioned over there. For which occasion, which type of bread or which type of cakes were required? These short questions you should be definitely reading thoroughly. Okay, then Bolinas. Bolinas was a must during Christmas and all other festivals in Goa. The bakers wore a particular knee-length frock which was known as kabai, K-B-A-I. Again, I'm telling spellings, be very particular about the spellings. Baking was a profitable profession. Definitely, bakers had a plump physique testifying to this, and the bakers collected their bills at the end of the month. Before they collected the bills at the end of the month, they used to write the details with date-wise on the walls, okay, of outside the house of that particular customer's house. They used to write it on the wall, and at the end of the month, they used to take the money from the customer. Okay. So one question only I have picked up from here. How is a baker important to the Goan people? This is a long question. Answer. So how is he important? Definitely very important. All the details are given in every occasion they are needed. So it's a long question also which I have selected. Okay. Next chapter from the same Glimpses of India. The next lesson that we have, Coorg by Lokesh Abral. Coorg or Kodagu, the smallest district of Karnataka, is considered to be a heavenly place, and the best season to visit here is from September to March. The people living there are probably the descendants of Arabs or the Greeks. He is not sure, but he is telling that. Their culture is apparent in their martial traditions, marriages, and religious rites. The Kodavus wear a long black embroidered coat, which were called Kupia. Okay, Kupia, Kuppia. The Coorg regiment is one of the most decorated regiments in the Indian army. Kodavus are the only people in India who were permitted to carry firearms without a license. The river Kaveri begins from the hills and the forests of Coorg. A variety of plants, birds, and animals can be seen there. The place offers a number of adventure sports for the tourists. The Tibetan monks are amongst many surprises that can be seen here. Alright, so this is all about Coorg, and there is a description of the definitely about the historical facts, and the natural beauty is also mentioned. Different types of fishes available over there, the flora and the fauna of the place, all these things are mentioned. What are the activities that the tourist can do while visiting these places? So all this type of questions can be asked. Alright. Next is Tea from Assam by Arup Kumar Datta. Here two characters are there, two friends, Pranjal and Rajveer, who were visiting Assam by train. Rajveer was busy looking at the beautiful scenery outside the train, and from where they were visiting? From Delhi. They were moving from Delhi to Assam. It was green everywhere as far as the eye could see. The soft green paddy bushes that gave way to tea bushes. So minute details of each and every description, whatever Rajveer saw outside the window, he had mentioned it in the lesson. Okay, Assam has the largest concentration of tea plantations in the world. The Chinese are said to have discovered tea, and there are a few legends also behind that. There is also an Indian legend saying that Bodhidharma discovered tea. From China, tea came to the European countries and then to Asian countries. Pranjal's father managed Dhekya Bari, which was a tea garden, and there were many tea pluckers around the tea bushes who were looking like dolls actually. The best tea is obtained in between May to July. Alright. So questions: what are the various legends about the origin of tea? What glimpses of India have been presented in this lesson? And which one do you like the most? Such type of questions can be asked. Okay, the next chapter, let's move on to Madam Rides the Bus by Valli Kannan. The story is about an 8-year-old girl, whose name was Valli Ammai, and she was very curious to know about things. Her favorite pastime was to stand at the front doorway of her house and see what was happening in the street outside. She would watch the bus that passed every hour from her village to the nearest town. She developed a desire to ride the bus, and this became her deepest desire. Valli found out the details of the bus journey by listening carefully to the conversations between her neighbors and the regular bus users. Okay, she came to know that the town was just 6 miles from her village, and the fare for the bus journey was 30 paise one way. Okay, remember 30 paise one way. That means going to the town and coming back 60 paise. There's always a confusion in that also. So 60 paise while going and coming back. 2 ways. The trip took 45 minutes. Valli planned her visit to the town and she saved 60 paise for the fare. Finally, one day she took the 1 o'clock bus to the town. 1 o'clock bus to the town. Valli was very happy to have got into the bus. On the way to the town, Valli saw a cow running right in front of the bus. She clapped as the cow kept on running towards the bus despite the continuous honking by the driver. Valli did not get off the bus when it reached the town. She was afraid, definitely. She also declined the offer of a cold drink by the conductor. So it shows her maturity somewhere. On the return journey, she saw the same cow lying dead by the roadside, and this unpleasant sight, moved her and made her very sad. The bus reached the village at 3:40. She ran straight for her home after getting down the bus. Her mother was not aware and she did not come to know also about this journey. But definitely this journey had affected Valli in a very striking way. Okay, and she realized that, the difference between life and death. Okay. Questions: why does the conductor call Valli as madam? And second question, even when we do know about something, we often can't understand it completely. Can we? So she says this statement and elaborate with reference to the chapter Madam Rides the Bus. So this long question answer again. Next chapter I will be sharing 2 more chapters with you. Today we will only do proses from first flight. Okay, in my next video I'll be sharing the revision notes on the poems, okay, and as well as footprints without feet. So there will be many upcoming videos for class 10th. Today we will do proses from first flight, then we will do poems and footprints without feet. Next day, third video will be on the writing skill section and grammar as well. So at least 2 more sessions I will be taking on 2 topics, and after that 1 more day will be fixed as live streaming. I'll be doing live streaming where you can join and ask your questions. We can chat, your any queries, any doubts, whatever doubts are there, please jot on the questions and be ready. Okay, whenever I'm going live in this week itself, I'll be trying to go live with you, and there we can discuss on the doubts and the queries. Alright, so 2 more chapters and then I'm going to end today's video. Next chapter, The Sermon at Benares by Betty Renshaw. This lesson tells about the life of Gautam Buddha, who was born in a royal family as Siddhartha. Once he saw a funeral procession and monk begging for the alms. These sights moved him a lot and he decided to become a monk and started moving in search of enlightenment. Enlightenment spelling should be correct. Most of the time I find children write the wrong spelling. So it's not enlightenment, it is enlightenment. He started meditation under a peepal tree, and after 7 days he got enlightenment and he became known as the Buddha, means the awakened or enlightened. The Buddha preached his first sermon at Benares. Once a woman named Kisa Gautami asked the Buddha to give her a medicine to bring her dead son to life. The Buddha told her to bring him a handful of mustard seeds from a house where no one had died. So this was the option given to her. and Kisa Gautami could not get the seeds. Okay, or as she did not find anyone or any particular family who had not lost their family member. So she thought that she was really selfish in her grief. Death was common to all, she understood that. Yet there lay a path to come out from this situation that led man to immortality if he surrendered all selfishness. So if we become selfless and we understand that we are mortal beings and we have to die if we have taken birth, then the pain and the grief will be less as per Buddha's teachings or advice. The Buddha told her that human life was brief and painful and all depart from life. He who is of the lamentation and grief shall have peace of mind. One who has overcome sorrow will be free from sorrow and be blessed. 3 questions from this lesson. How did Gautam Buddha make Kisa Gautami understand the common truth of life, that death is common to all? Second question, what happened to Kisa Gautami's son? Why couldn't she get a handful of mustard seeds from any house? And third question, according to Gautam Buddha, how can one become free from the grief of death and decay? Okay, in the last chapter, The Proposal, that's a play by Anton Chekhov. Here we see 3 characters, Lomov, Chubukov and Natalia. Lomov, who is he? Chubukov's neighbor, who asks for Chubukov's daughter Natalia's hand in marriage. Chubukov gets filled with excitement. He was very happy and relaxed. Lomov was a 34-year-old gentleman who suffers from palpitations, gets upset very easily, and doesn't sleep well. And according to him, Natalia is average looking and yes, a good housekeeper. While talking about his property, Lomov somehow mentions about Oxen Meadows, which earlier was a disputed property but is now his. Natalia believes that Oxen Meadows belong to her family. So both of them enter into a heated discussion on this topic. Oxen Meadows belong to whom? And they had a discussion, and then they started quarreling and arguing. Okay. Chubukov unintentionally reveals that Lomov had come with a marriage proposal for Natalia, which Natalia was not aware of, and this surprises Natalia, and she immediately regrets sending him out, and she starts actually telling her father that you please bring him back. And when Lomov returns, they enter into another argument, okay, involving their dogs into the discussion. And you must know the names of the dogs. Okay, please be very careful. We will have a session on MCQs as well. Multiple choice questions on each and every chapter. We will have it. We still have time. Okay, so they go into the discussion on the dogs. And then everyone gets hyper, including this Lomov, Chubukov, Natalia, all 3 of them. They become hyper. They are quarrelsome. And Lomov finally falls due to his palpitations. It is only when Lomov moves a little bit, they feed him some water, and Chubukov forcefully hands over Natalia's hands to him, gives him them blessings rather. Okay, and then the issue was sorted. Lomov, still not fully conscious, doesn't understand actually what is going on. He was not well. He was not feeling well at that time. When he finally comes to his senses, he expresses his excitement, okay, and excitement of getting Natalia as his wife. And finally, Natalia, being childish as she is, once again starts quarreling at the end of the play on another issue. So it continues. Okay, so the fights, it continues between Lomov and Natalia. But the chapter, The Proposal, was finally given. Questions justify the title of the drama, The Proposal. Describe how does Natalia react before and after knowing the real purpose of Lomov's visit. Very important question. Does she really act sensibly? Okay, you have to give your own opinions. Elucidate on this statement or elaborate this statement. And besides Oxen Meadows, what is the other important cause of quarrel between Lomov and Natalia? Obviously the dogs and all. Okay, so this was just a quick revision of the proses from the book The First Flight. And as I said, in my next video, we will be revising the poems and the chapters from Footprints Without Feet. Tomorrow we will do that. And after that, one more session I will take on writing skill topics. There are two writing skill only: analytical paragraph and the letter, different types of letters, and as well as grammar topics. So in 3 days we can definitely have a quick recap of the whole syllabus. Okay, and after that I'll be going live. Before I go live, I'll be definitely sharing the update on my WhatsApp status. So please do keep a watch on the channel as well as the WhatsApp status for my next videos. Okay, and the day I go live, that day please be ready with questions, with queries, with lots of any doubts if you have. Okay, we can sit and we can clarify. And till the time, okay, please go through the video once again, and if you really liked it, it is helpful to you in any ways, in little bit also, if I'm able to help you in a particular chapter through this video, please do like and share as much as you can with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for the latest updates. Okay, thank you for watching the video. See you again in the next video. Okay, till the time, please be prepared, give your 100%, have a proper time management, eat well, stay healthy, and be happy. Okay, don't get stressed because exams are coming up and all. Okay, if you are prepared and then confident, then nothing can stop you from achieving the success. All right, thank you all of you. Bye bye.